Hi everybody, this is Ellen. In this tutorial I'm going to show you how to make the large kaleidoscope on one loom. And why this is exciting is that this is normally a 7-pin bar design, and when I first made it I tried to get it down a little smaller, so then I turned it into 4-pin bars, and now I figured out how to do it on one loom or 3-pin bars. So awesome! And why that's awesome is because this design is super versatile and people have been doing lots of different things with it. And like for instance, this one, although it's a very, maybe a sad looking one that I put together, Nrox RL Creations on Instagram was one of the first people to turn the large kaleidoscope into a Dreamcatcher. So that's been very popular, and there's been some really beautiful ones out there. I'm not going to show you how to make the Dreamcatcher tails. That's kind of something I think that you can kind of be elaborate and creative and kind of make those on your own. I will show you where to put them on the loom as we go though, so that you know where they are supposed to be. So you find the bottom from the top and all that good stuff. So, and I just made a real simple one just to kind of show as an example. So, but I'll put her Instagram name down in the description box so you can see the ones that she's put together. And then another person who came up with some really great ideas was Nikki_Looms, who used the large kaleidoscope to turn it into a skirt for figures. And like my happy food, just stretch the center cap band around the bottom of your figure, and you have an adorable little skirt for your person, which is adorable, awesome, and works with the other flat figures too. Looks like little ballerina skirts and things like that, so it's a totally good idea. She also did something with a hat with it too. You'll have to check out her Instagram as well, which will be in the description box, to see what she did with hers. So, but this is actually the one of the original ones I made for the design itself. It includes cap bands in it. The cap bands are optional. They do not need to be included in the design to make it, but you can certainly add them. I'm going to add them as I loom along. If you don't want them, you don't have to have them. The design difference will be, it'll look like this. This is without the cap bands. So basically the same, you just don't get the little kind of pops in color. I will say that if you do plan to use this as a skirt, that you probably want to have the cap bands that'll be around the center perimeter there, because otherwise when you're doing or putting it on a figure for an outfit, you get gaps in the design, so kind of big spaces there where you can see through to whatever your figure is. So it's just a suggestion. And then of course there is the adding rings to the designs. I'm not going to show how to do that in this tutorial because with showing the cap band option, showing where to put the tails for the Dreamcatcher, the rings itself are super complicated on the way we loom this, because we make about 3/4 of it, and then we have to take it off the loom and then lay some more bands and do the rest of it. So we have to make sure that they're just perfect, so that they're nice and even all the way around. It is possible, and I will have a tutorial out on it in the near future, not at the same time as this one, but soon, so that you will be able to add the rings to it if you want to, where it'll just be focus on that. So, but we'll get started. I'm going to use the same colors that I've done in like these 3 up here, so you can kind of follow along with where my color placements are. I'm using 18 purple, 12 blue, 12 yellow, 6 green, 6 light green, 6 orange, and 1 fuchsia, and then the 12 white for the cap bands as well. But all that will be below in the description box with the total number of bands that you would use for one. And of course you don't have to use the same colors, you can use all the colors you want. That's the awesomeness of this design. And sorry I talk so much, but I'm just really excited about the fact that this is on one loom. It's very exciting. So, one loom. I have my red arrow side down here and my non-red arrow side over here. We're going to set it up this way because the only part of the design that's directional is the perimeter. So we're going to lay those down first, and then the other ones, it doesn't matter as far as how the loom is turned. So So first, perimeter. Mine is purple. So we're going to start down here by the red arrow and just do a band all the way up till the end. It's just one band, everything's single banded. Like that. Now we're going to do what I call arrows and X's, or X's and arrows, however you want to look at it. But the arrows are, if you're looking at this design, there's no cap bands in this one, so it's a little easier to see. But if you're looking at this design, the green bands that I have in the center are what the arrows are, and then the yellow and blue are what the X's are, and then the orange bands, I usually end up calling them the cap bands as we go around, so just kind of keep that in mind. And then the fuchsia band, I call that the center. So, perimeter, arrow, X's, cap bands, and center. Just so we kind of stay clear as we go. So first we are going to start with an arrow on the end. So in mine it's a dark green and then a light green, or teal and then neon green from Rainbow Loom. Just like this. The arrow. Then right next to it we're going to make an X. Mine is blue at the bottom and then yellow at the top. So blue at the bottom and then yellow at the top. And you could put this band on first, then put that one on. You just need to put the blue or the bottom on first and then the top. So it doesn't matter which one you put on the bottom first, but just so that the bottom goes on first before the top. So now, next pin over, we'll have another arrow. So my green, and then light green, and then over. So off these two pins, we'll have the X. I'm losing my voice, sorry. So the bottom is blue, and the top is yellow. And then our next one over will be our arrow. So green bottom, and then the light green. Then our next one will be another X. Then an arrow. Then an X. And an arrow right on the end. So like that, our X's and arrows. Now if you want the cap bands that are in the lower portion are on the middle of the X's. So on each X we would put a cap band in the center if you want those. It is not necessary, but it's just to add a little more color. When I first made the design, that was the reason why, is to add a little more color and a pop to it. But then I kind of transformed it as I went along with it, and like things for my turtles and things like that, I took out the cap bands because it just was easier not to have them in. But in the middle of the X's, you can add the cap bands. Like that. And now if you want the cap bands in the orange, or in the center of the orange there, which I suggested would be good if you do the skirts, those are going to go. The first one is going to go on the top of our arrow right here. So it's just one band wrapped around one time, That's all the cap band is. Our next cap band is going to go on the left side of the X right here, or the next X over. Our next cap band is going to go on the left side of the next X. And the same thing here. So the left side of the X all the way down the loom. That's where you'll put the cap band if you want it for the center. And then my orange band's next. So it's going to be one band, and I'm just going to lay it in the same spots I put the cap bands. So the first one, if you didn't put them down, the first one is on the green arrow, and then we're going to have the next one on the left of the X, and then the left of the X here, left of the X there, and here. So once you have that, so now if you want to do a Dreamcatcher, you would put those on this arrow, and this arrow. So these 3 pins are where you would attach your dangles for your Dreamcatcher, with this one right here being the very bottom of the design, like this one right here. So it's these 3 for your Dreamcatcher if you're going to make one. And you just would make your chain, use a little blue bead this time. We're not getting elaborate here, I'm just showing you how you'd attach it. But make your little dangle however you want it to look. And then you would take it and you would attach it to your loom, just so it hangs off like that. And then it'll get loomed up into the design as you go. So, center, and then the next one's on the outside. So, these 3. Alright, so now we can do some looming. You're going to need a center cap band. I'm using that fuchsia. So I'll push this down. We're going to start on this end down here, and you're going to take your cap band, put it on your hook, and wrap it around one time. Then what we're going to do is come down here, grab that orange band or whatever band you dropped, pull it through the cap band, and then put it back onto the hook. Or back onto the pin, sorry. Back onto the pin. So this is what you would have now. And you can see if you have the cap bands on there, it kind of gets trapped in the center. Although they might not stay in the center, they do, if you pull them off the loom wrong, they pop out, but they do go back inside with some moving of the bands. So just so you're aware that that could happen too. I left these out to show you. But you can put them back in so they look like this side. Alright, so once you have that, you're going to go in through what I'm calling the cap band area. Go in through there and loom down your first arrow to the perimeter. Then you're going to take your cap band and you're going to move it down 1 pin to the left. Like that. So once you've done that, you're going to go in through your cap band and you're going to loom down the right side of the X to kind of hold that in place. And then you're going to go through your center again, grab that dropped band, pull it through your center, put it back onto the pin. Then we're going to loom out the rest of the X. So go start at the top here first, loom that down to the center, and then loom these 2 down. So whatever band is on top, just pull that down towards the perimeter. Like that. So now come down to the perimeter and we're going to loom it to the bottom of the X. Like so. So you can take these off. Our open point is right here, so make sure that doesn't come off. And I usually don't take off this band, whatever pin we're working through right here. Don't take that off until we move it, because otherwise it's, finding the center again, or if your cap band, you can kind of keep it nicer if you're just moving it with your hook instead of pulling it off and having to find it again. So I'm going to pull off everything but these two behind. Like that. Then I'm going to take our cap band, move it down to our next arrow. Then we'll loom out our arrow down to the perimeter. Then we'll come down to our perimeter here, loom one up to the bottom of the arrow. Then we'll take this off. Then we're going to move our cap band down to the right side of the X. Loom out that first, or the right side of the X. And find your center again. Go through your center, find that dropped band, pull it up through. Then we'll loom out the rest of the X, so do the other left side up at the top, down to the center, and then loom out the bottom to the perimeter. Then loom your perimeter over to the end of the X. Now I'm going to remove the stuff back here. Keeping in mind of my open ones and my cap band there. So now we can move our cap band down another pin to the top of the next arrow. Loom out our arrow, and this is where you would have a dangle for the dream catchers if you do that. So just loom that down and then come down and do the perimeter to the bottom of the arrow. Take off these bands here, move our cap band down to the right of the X. Then loom out that right side. Find your center again. Go through and pull up that drop band. Put it back onto the pin. Loom out the rest of the X, starting on the left top and looming down the rest of the way. Like that. And come down to our perimeter and loom it up towards the bottom of the X, or to the last pin there of the X. Like that. Then we'll go ahead and remove all this stuff back here. Then move your cap band down to the next arrow. Then loom down your arrow. Like that. Loom your perimeter to the bottom of your arrow. I'm going to remove this one again. I'll move my cap band down to the right of the X. Loom out that right part. Then find your center. Go through, grab that drop band, pull it up, put it on the pin. Loom out the rest of the X. And then go down and loom the bottom here. And loom your perimeter down to the end of the X there. Then you can remove some of this back here. Then move your cap band to the last arrow on this one. And loom out the arrow to the bottom perimeter. And then do that last perimeter band. So then our open point is right here. I'm going to remove some of the other stuff. And then we're going to stick our hook through this open spot, pull it off the loom. And there we have about 3/4. I saw that white one get snagged on the loom. So like that, looking pretty. Of course, I already made ones that are exactly like it, so of course I like it, obviously. So now, we're going to start counting from this end, the wrong end of the loom. We're going to count back 7 pins and then start our perimeter to go back to the right. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So our first band for our perimeter is going to go right here. And then just follow it to the end of the loom with 1 band. Like that. And then we'll do our X's and arrows on this portion. So first it's going to be, we ended with an arrow, so our first one is going to be an X. And it's going to start on the second pin in. So my bottom blue X, and then the top yellow. Then our arrow. And then an X. Start at the bottom first, then the top. And then we're going to add our cap bands if you want them. So again, they go in the middle of the X's. Again, they are not necessary, but I like them, so just throwing them in there. And then on this one, for if you want them like right along the center of the design, it's going to go on this left X here. And that's the only one. Then you're also going to want your another orange band. That one's going to get dropped on that left X as well. So now we'll do the rest of this. So you have this on your hook still. You're just going to take it and set it straight down onto this pin. So just like that. So now our first cap band, or our last one that we worked on here, we need to use that for part of this design right here, or part of this X. So you want to find the center. If you just have the orange bands, it's pretty easy. Just make sure if you have the cap band that you get through both of the bands to pull back up to this pin right here. So again, same process as before. Loom out that first one. Then you're going to want to find the center. Grab that dropped band, and pull it back over onto the pin. Then loom the other side of the X, and then loom out the bottom portion. Like that. Then come down to the perimeter, loom up to the bottom of the X, or the end of the X, like that. Then you're going to want to release some of these bands back here. We're going to move our cap band down to the arrow. And then loom out our arrow through the cap band down to the perimeter. Loom our perimeter one time to the bottom of the arrow. I'm going to pull this off back here. Then we're going to move our cap band down one more time to right on that right side of the X. We're going to loom that one time. And now here's where it might get a little tricky. What we need to do is we've come full circle now in the kaleidoscope, and you kind of pull your design around. We need to go back through the very first one that we made for this left side of the X. So as you hold this open, here's my very first one. So I'm going to go through the center of there. Make sure I get my cap band if you have it, and then that's going to go on to that pin right there. So just like this. Then you're going to loom down that yellow band, or the other half of the X there. Loom out the rest of this. Down to the bottom. Then we're going to loom to the end of the X. Loom our perimeter to the end of the X. Like that. I'm going to release some of these. And now what we want to do is just get this, the green band, basically, onto the pin down here, so that when we close it up, it'll be connected. So I'm going to release some more. And just remember we still have one open point right here. So I'm just going to stretch this down, go through both of that bottom of the arrow, and pull that down. Then you go in through here and loom that last perimeter band. And you take your hook, stick it in through there, and you can pull this off the loom. Like so. So now, to close it, you pull a band through. And then if you want, because if I close this like this, there is a little gap there. So to close it, to kind of have a complete space there, you can go underneath, like if I hold it out like this, I can go underneath these bands over here, grab that band I pulled through, pull it through, and I have both ends back on my hook. I got it pulled through, and then I'll do a slip knot. And then if you're doing a Dreamcatcher, that would be where you could hang it up from, so. But it looks pretty good. I got my one little dangle. Then if you have the cap bands and they aren't where they're supposed to be, it's a matter of getting that band underneath pulled back up. Takes a little finagling. Sometimes just stretching the design will kind of get it back where it needs to go. But other times you have to actually get in there and kind of rearrange the band. To make sure I grab the top one. There we go. So I get it onto, get the cap band on the inside instead of the outside. Then I'll fix all the rest of those as well on this one. But I hope that you enjoyed this tutorial. I hope you're as excited about this as I am, because this definitely will open up a lot of new things for people who wanted to make the Dreamcatchers or use these for the skirts for tutorials, or just want to make, you know, kind of a nice little cute piece for just to share. And then if you would want to make these into bracelets, you would just, once you've made one, take that open end that we had, and then after you laid all your bands for the very first one, this would just go on the end as kind of a capping band to loom through, and then you'd have two connected when you got done. So I mean, that would also go well with the kind of elaborate Dreamcatchers that people have made as well. So, but I hope that you enjoyed this tutorial. I'm very excited to share it with you. Always trying to make things available to everyone. That's always been my goal. That's why I have so many one loom tutorials on several loom designs. So, but thank you very much for watching. If you make some of these out of this tutorial, I definitely love to see them on my Instagram, which is at Crafting Fantastic, or on my Facebook page, which is at Crafting Fantastic or feelinspiffy. They both should find me. Otherwise, there's a link underneath the video in the description. And of course, subscribing to my channel is always awesome, so that you can see when I have new things coming out. But thanks again for watching, and I hope that you can make some great things out of these. I'll have more for you soon.